Hi, I'm Kevin Creighton with AmmoMan.com. Today on the School of Guns, let's talk about finding the right holster for you. As I've said before, my background's in marketing, so I tend to look at how gun-related companies are talking about their products. And with holsters, I see a lot of people talking about how comfortable their holster is. Now, holsters do a lot of things, and comfort is one of those. But let's talk about what our priorities as new gun owners tend to be, and what our priorities actually should be. If you're a new gun owner, you are not used to carrying around your gun. I mean, it's just not a normal act to do. If you're law enforcement or military, yeah, that you're more comfortable with that idea. Law enforcement, you've got those big patrol belts, and military, you're carrying, 90 plus pounds of gear all over the known world. So carrying a gun in a holster, no big deal. But for the rest of us, for the armed citizen, I mean, we're barely used to carrying around a cell phone on our belt, and now you're asking us to carry on 20 ounces of lead and metal on our belt? So yeah, all of a sudden, comfort becomes a big deal. And then we look at it and we say, I don't want anybody to see that I'm carrying a gun. That would be a bad thing. So we talk about how concealable, how well our holster helps conceal our gun. And then down the road, we think about safety. Like, yeah, it's probably a bad idea if something gets in the, in the flap there and gets in the trigger and it goes bang or things like that. Yeah, we want safety. And then lastly, we think about accessibility because drawing a gun from a holster is not something we do on a normal day in, day out basis. So that's just not a priority for us, and neither is putting the gun back in the holster. So as new gun owners, our priorities become comfort, concealability, safety, and then finally accessibility. The problem is that's not reality's priorities, and let's talk about those now. So let's talk about what our priorities really should be for a holster. Number one, safety. Safety first, safety second, safety last. If your holster you're looking at has a tendency for things, like maybe the leather is a little bit worn here and it can possibly engage the triggers you're reholstering, or it's got one of those little nylon flippy flappy things on it, get rid of it. I'll tell you why. Because you don't want anything interfering with your trigger inside inside the holster here, and you don't want anything that could make the gun go bang. I mean, if you're scared about people spying the fact that you have a holster inside a Walmart, imagine how bad it'd be if your gun went bang inside a holster inside a Walmart. That would be a very bad thing. Secondly, your priority should be accessibility. You want to be able to get a good, firm firing grip on your gun before you withdraw it from the holster, and you want to be able to reholster it after you've needed to pull it out. This only shows up, I got to be honest, if you take any kind of firing class or shooting class or any kind of competition, because all of a sudden you're drawing your gun out of your holster multiple times and putting it back inside the holster multiple times. And you may find that the holster you thought was a great idea and very comfortable all of a sudden really sucked, and you can't really safely put your gun back in your holster. Thirdly, concealability. I mean, most of these are actually really good. We're talking about splitting the hairs when it comes to concealability of these holsters. I tend to carry inside the waistband. This is my backup holster. This one's from JM Kydex. I can easily conceal that. Other people prefer outside the waistband holster, and they have a different method of concealing their gun. Whatever works best for you, you've got to really try a bunch of different methods and figure out which one works best, because I can't make that decision for you. It's only through trial and error. I mean, let's face it, guys. Have you ever tried to buy a purse for your wife? How'd that work out for you? Yeah, that's kind of the same situation I'm in, okay? Lastly, believe it or not, is comfort. This you would think would not be a comfortable holster. It's Kydex, it's hard, it's inside the waistband, but it's actually quite comfortable. You've got a little bit of a protrusion here so the gun doesn't dig into me, and I've carried this all day for weeks on end. And yeah, I actually don't have any problem carrying this. It's a very comfortable holster. So look around, start making decisions, and start rearranging your priorities. If comfort is your number one reason for getting a holster, probably shouldn't be. You should look at safety, you should look at accessibility, and you should look at concealability before you look at those at comfort. As always, stay safe and have fun, and we'll see you on the range.